Okay. Thank you.
Awesome.
All right. We are being recorded, so thank you all for joining this webinar series. It's This is a new series that I've wanted to do as a Microsoft Learning Consultant. I am the Microsoft Learning Consultant for the Miami market, and Miami covers Dade, Broward, Palm Beach, and Martin County, even though it's Miami. So I actually am a classroom teacher of 10 years in Miami-Dade, and I worked at the district as basically a technology specialist. Every district has a different name for it. In Miami-Dade, they call them digital convergence facilitators, which is what David is. And I worked in that role for 4 years before transitioning into this role as a Microsoft Learning Consultant. So I wanted to be able to have teachers share their best practices in how they're using the Microsoft tools, and give them a platform to do that. And that's why I wanted to do this webinar series every month. So this is the second time we're doing it, and we're small, but I like to do the recordings so that people can go back when they are added to the team to view, the thoughts and ideas that were presented from the previous month. So I do want to thank you guys for joining again and taking 1 hour out of your evening to be with us. So
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, David. So just to make sure that everybody is ready for the webinar, you want to make sure you're muted and we don't have music because we were just talking. And when you are ready to speak, you can unmute yourself to speak. And again, my name is Michelle, and here's my information. If you want to reach me via email, my email address is there. You can find me on Twitter. And yeah, feel free to get in touch with me. I'm happy to hear what you're doing in your classroom, in your schools, in your district, and I'm happy to support as well. So today we want to talk about the modern classroom, the 21st century skills, and the Microsoft tool or application that we're going to focus on this month is OneNote. Last month we talked about Teams, and we just transitioned to OneNote for this month. So if you haven't already done so, it's a great idea to download the Microsoft OneNote app for your mobile device because it's a great tool to have there. And of course, you know that OneNote syncs to the cloud, so anything you do on your mobile device will connect to your OneNote notebooks that are part of your OneDrive. Just a little bit about the team. So if you're in the webinar now, you have been added to the team, and the team looks like this. We do have a parking lot, and the parking lot will allow you to pose questions that you want after the webinar or at any point, and we can get in there and answer your questions. If you want to view previous recordings, all you have to do is just click on the previous month, and then you'll see the recording and a PDF of the PowerPoint presentation for that month within the team. And every month I'll add for November and December and so on, and the calls will be inside those channels for that month. So moving on to Microsoft's mission, which is to empower every student and every institution on the planet to achieve more. Again, this is the foundation of why I wanted to do a webinar like this, because we're doing some wonderful things with the Microsoft platform, and it's great for us to do it, but it's even greater for us to share it across the different counties. We have 3 counties represented here tonight on the call, and it's great for us to hear what's happening, because we could be doing different things and we can learn and grow from each other. So I like to think that this webinar series is a little bit different because we are focusing on a tool, but I really want the focus to not just be, hey, we're going to learn about what the tool is. I want us to really dive into how can we use this tool in the modern setting, the modern classroom setting, to help foster the 4 C's. And that's why I like to have the teachers participate at the end, sharing best practices, and even be guest speakers on the call to share what they're doing with the tool. Okay, this is just a quick reminder of to make sure that you know that you're in the test Microsoft Tenant, And in order to get back to your school or your district tenant, you'll just have to click on that little caret next to your picture or your initials in the top right-hand side, and you just switch to your tenant to get back into your school team. So every time you're going to be part of the webinar, you just have to switch to this tenant. Now it's called Test Microsoft. Now we're going to kind of dive into the 4 C's, the critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, and communication. Those are the things that we're going to target when we're looking at how we're utilizing the tool. How are we fostering experiences for the students to have exposure to these tools and to these skills in the classroom and while using the tools. I'm sure we're familiar with what critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, and communication is in a general level, but there is a terrific course on the Microsoft educator community called 21st Century Learning Design, and I am not sure if you are familiar, but it's a learning path course. And in this learning path course, it is broken down into about 6 modules, I believe, and every module introduces one of the 21st century skills, and it allows you to see it broken down into a rubric, classroom examples, and even videos. So you see the 21st century skills in a whole new light. And I took the course, and when I took the course, it really opened my eyes to what I'm looking for when I went into classrooms, or when I go into classrooms, in terms of fostering these skills, and what I was doing as a teacher, to expose the students to these skills. So for example, with communication, we thought, well, the students are presenting their project. They may be presenting their project to their classmates, so they are, utilizing their communication skills. But communication requires more than just standing up in front of the classroom presenting a project. There are big ideas and rubrics that are part of that course that helps to guide you to make sure that the students are truly engaged in those skills. So here are some big ideas that the course asks you to look at. So in terms of communication, the students are communicating their ideas, and their communication is supported with evidence, but it's also designed with a particular audience in mind. So not just presenting to the teacher or the students, but some other, some target audience. So I really like these big ideas because they help to they help me to design the purpose for how I'm using the tool and whatever the learning task is that the students are going to participate in. And in terms of the rubric, every 21st century skill has a rubric, and then the main ideas, or the big ideas, as you can see here on the right-hand side, they are listed. So in terms of creativity, the things that are focused on are knowledge construction, okay, application of knowledge, and interdisciplinary learning activities. When it comes to critical thinking, problem solving is a focus, real world problems, and innovation. And then the rubric breaks down, what that looks like from the lower level to the highest level. For collaboration, the students are doing more than just turn and talk. They are working together, but each of them have a shared responsibility, and they're making substantive decisions, and they are doing interdependent work that adds to the value of the whole team. And then for communication, they have extended communication, and their communication is multimodal. It requires supporting evidence, and then they have it geared toward a particular audience. So I really like those rubrics, and I like to refer to that 21st Century Learning Design course because it allows me to really tailor my content to meet the needs of what the students should be exposed to in the modern classroom. And that's what we're going to get into with OneNote. So why are we using OneNote? Well, it is a tool that we can use to modernize our content and transform our classroom from our traditional binders and papers into now technology-rich environment. I used OneNote in my classroom for a number of years, and by the time I left the classroom to go to the district, I was paperless. I never used a copy machine, and I had to, of course, train the students on how to use OneNote, and that took time. But the rewards, once they learned how to use it, was extensive. But it really did transform the way information was shared and the way that they presented information to me. So it really does take you into the modern classroom setting. Now, when it comes to Microsoft OneNote, there are, as you are familiar, different platforms. There's the Windows 10 app that comes with a Windows device, and the Windows 10 app and the online app on the OneNote in the browser, those two are being updated constantly. Whenever there are updates to OneNote, they happen for Windows 10 and or the browser. Just know that the browser does require internet connection because you're using it online. And a lot of students like to use the browser option because it's easy to click on a link to their OneNote and it opens up in the browser, and then it opens right there for them to have access to the basic tools that they need. And then for the Windows 10 app, they actually have to have that extra step to open in the app. But the Windows 10 does come with more robust options. For example, glitter pens and the cool, math feature that's now part of the OneNote Windows 10, where you can put math problems and it creates a form based on the math problems you create. And of course, there's the 2016 version of OneNote, which is the desktop version. It's no longer supported, meaning they're no longer doing any updates for it, but they're still maintaining it. Lots of users prefer to use that one because the tabs are at the top and not at the side. You have more options within the toolbar there. Personally, I do use 2016 version more than I do the other version because that's the one that I've used for many, many years, and I have not yet made that full transition into the Windows 10 app, although I do use the Windows 10 app for some things. One thing, I'll talk about this in the next slide, but there's a great support page that Microsoft has that allows you to compare the educational features of the different OneNote platforms and what you can do in each of them. And that's linked there. And I'll also share the link in the Teams. You could see that, where immersive readers available, where can record audio happen. And you'll see here recording video right now, it's only in the 2016 version and the 2013 version. It's not yet available in any other platform. And that's what I mean when I said that some people still like to use the 2016 version because there's some features that are available only in that version. And this is one of them. Okay. So this is a great little tool, resource to have for your, just to refer to. Now, when you have, you're in your Windows 10 device and you go into OneNote and your device has been recently updated, you may not see OneNote 2016 anymore. And I did notice this toward the end of last school year on some of our devices in the school district when they had been updated. You won't see that because, remember, I said it's no longer being supported. What happens there is because it's not being supported, it's not automatically going to be there when you make the update. However, there is a way that you can still have it reinstalled on your device. I actually had to do that myself. When I purchased a new Surface, I actually had to go in and go to this support page, and it walks me through and tells me that OneNote 2016 for Windows can no longer be found on a PC where it had been previously installed as part of any edition of Microsoft Office. However, you can click here to still download it to have it added back into your PC. So that's just a little quick tip that I had to I had to research to find out that I was able to do that, because I am a OneNote 2016 user. Okay. All right, so just the basic layout, since you know, you have your notebooks and your bookshelf, you have your sections, and then you have your pages, and this applies to the the Windows 10 app and the desktop app. And some of the things that I'm going to share with you today relate to some of the features that you're going to see, improved features in the Windows 10 version and also in the browser. All righty. So I want to talk about some brief tips and tricks when we're actually creating the OneNote notebooks and when we're implementing them with our students, and just things that, you know, from, oops, sorry, wrong browser, from over the years that, you know, we've kind of gotten in the habit of doing, you know, best practices. So one of the first things that we do share when we're working with teachers is they definitely have to differentiate between the three types of the platforms: the online, the desktop, and the app, and talk about which one is better used for what, and which one will be better used by the students and which one will be better used by the teacher. I've always recommended that the teacher uses the Windows 10 app or the 2016 version, because that's the one that they can develop their content the most in. And then when the students are accessing the notebook, if the students are just using the draw tool to respond to text and worksheets on the OneNote, their best bet is to just use the online version of OneNote. Okay. One other great tip that I learned was when a teacher is creating a OneNote, when you are going through the process to create your class notebook, and we're going to walk through that really quickly. So you have to click on the waffle, click on class notebook, and then go through the steps here. Name your notebook. It provides you with your notebook overview. If you want to add another teacher, remember that teacher has editing rights, so you want to be very careful about adding other teachers to your notebook with editing rights, because they can do everything you can do in the notebook. Students can be added now or later, and they can be added based and separated by semicolons. Here, this is the tip that I learned that it can be really helpful. When you're designing the spaces for your students, these are the default pages. You can always delete them and add new ones here by doing that. But what I learned was, if you leave the sections blank, because there's some times that we don't necessarily know what sections we want to have, or we may have an idea of 4 sections, but then we realize, oh, I want to change it to this one, and it becomes a little hassle to try to change it later. So what I've learned from observing teachers in different districts is leaving this section blank when you're creating the notebook will allow you to then distribute a new section later to all the students' notebooks that you've added into the notebook once it's been created. So basically, you're leaving the notebook, trying to find where I was. You're leaving the notebook blank. You're leaving the sections blank, and that's one tip that a couple of teachers shared that worked really well for them. And then they distribute the sections later to the students once they've all been added. And another tip related to the sections is to make sure that when you are putting your sections in the content library, that your content library section mirrors what the student section looks like. And it just makes it easier for the students to be able to go into the content library and see what they may be missing if they were absent, or what they need to have in their notebook, just to keep it organized. So that's another tip as well, making sure that your content library mirrors the student's notebook. Once you start reviewing student work, here's another tip. when you start reviewing student work, it will ask you what section and what assignment page you want to review. So a great tip is to make sure that before you distribute a page to the student notebook, make sure you put the title how you want it to be, so that when you distribute it to every student's notebook, the title doesn't change. And when you go here to review the work, every single page with that title unchanged comes up, and it makes it easier for you to grade every student's work, and you won't miss anyone because the title is already there. What happens with that is if the title is changed, or if the students put their own title, you have to go through different pages within that section of the notebook to really grade that assignment, versus having the same title and all 30 kids with that title, it pops up. So add the titles to pages before you distribute them to students, and it does help in reviewing work. If the titles are on the page, it'll populate for you to see every student that has that title. Okay. All right. So those are just a few tips that I've learned from teachers that I've observed over the past couple of years. Another thing you might want to do is, when you are showing the students and teaching them about OneNote, you might want to show them your ability to view page versions, and your ability to view the history, because then that will help them to see that no matter what they do on the page, you know, they can delete, they can go and change something, but you're able to see that and kind of track not just the versions, but you're able to see who authors a particular part of a page, especially in the collaboration space. Okay. All right, so at this time, what I want to do now, we talked about a few tips and tricks. What I want to do now is give a little time to David, because we're kind of close to the half-hour mark. I want to give a little time to David Duque, who is a digital convergence facilitator from Miami-Dade County Public Schools. And David is going to talk briefly about how the implementation of OneNote in Dade County, and how teachers and administrators have been using OneNote in Miami-Dade County Public Schools. So David, do you want to share your screen or anything?
No, I'll just talk.
Okay.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. So, like Michelle mentioned, I'm an original member from this digital convergence team. This is my 5th year. Michelle and I both started at the same time. We're both former classroom teachers with 10 years experience, secondary primarily. And one of the tools that we showcase a lot in our district is OneNote. So it's a tool that I've been using personally, and it's a tool that I like to showcase to teachers, administrators, students. Some examples of how we've showcased OneNote in our schools include OneNote class notebooks. We deliver a 2-day OneNote Academy. So it's a professional development session that Michelle and I created, several years ago, where on the first day we really get into the kind of the ins and outs of Office 365, and how it's integrated, and how all the other applications within Office 365 can be added into your notebook. And then we spend the second day discussing not only the 3 platforms in OneNote that Michelle did a nice job explaining, but also the 3 different types of OneNote notebooks. When we deliver this training primarily to teachers, we focus more on the OneNote class notebook portion, kind of show them some best tips and tricks when using the content library and the collaboration space, and some of those tips that Michelle mentioned with the distributing page. I wanted to bring up a good point, because I think a good best practice, and something that we always try to share with teachers when they're using the collaboration space. I think it's important to do something where the students can kind of denote and see where they're supposed to be writing. So whenever we would deliver this professional development, and really any professional development that uses OneNote, we would use charts and tables so that the participants know exactly where they should be writing, and it kind of tries to eliminate all those syncing issues that occur when too many people try to write in the same spot on the same page. Um, so that, like I said, that OneNote 2-day academy with the focus on class notebook is one of our most popular professional development sessions. Uh, in turn, when we're tasked to come out to schools, which is another one of our roles, it's not just delivering professional development at the district or school site level, but actually going inside classrooms and showing how teachers are using it and how the students are using it. Um, is a lot. It's kind of seeing that OneNote notebook in practice, seeing how the students are utilizing it. In terms of administration, I know that Michelle and I in the past have also, we've sat down with several administrative teams over the last few years, and really gotten them and their entire school on OneNote staff notebooks. Um, and this is a platform where when we meet with the administrative team, we talk about what they want to use the notebook for, and primarily when we end up setting it up and discussing this with them, it becomes their kind of like their handbook for the year. So, it's a place where the administration will put in things like, meeting agendas, departmental meeting notes, ESAC minutes, um, and then, in their individual staff member notebooks, they have, spaces where they can jot down professional development that they've attended, or notes on even like an observation, whether that was a formal or informal administrative observation. So that's some of the ways that we've kind of used Staff Notebook um, with administrators here in MDCPS. As far as OneNote, just OneNote, a regular OneNote notebook, I know it's a go-to tool for me. It's something that it's the one application I would say I use daily uh, for organization purposes, to kind of keep all my um, all my logs, all my visits. I use it. Michelle and I would use it to house our professional development content in. We even use it as, in many cases, we use it as the main presentation tool in a lot of the professional development. So, rather than a PowerPoint deck or a slide deck like this one, we would just kind of house everything in, OneNote notebooks. So for me, I mean, it's a tool that I've been using for the last 5 years extensively, and I do. I heard Michelle mention that she prefers using OneNote 2016. Uh, I would agree with her. I too prefer that look. I know that the newer features, there are some great features on the app and on the online, like the math features. And I know that they're adding some new things. I've already seen the quiz questions that it can generate from the math problem. That's a pretty powerful tool. Um, but for me, I still prefer the desktop, the OneNote 2016 edition. But for me, it's like I said, it's a powerful tool. It's a tool that I think has a lot of value in all levels and in all professions, really. Um, and it's the one tool that I think, you know, in MDCPS we are a Microsoft uh, district with Office 365. Every single student and staff member has Office 365 accounts. But there's always some teachers and students that, they, for whatever reason, they prefer, the Google Suite or whatever, and that's fine. But I don't think that there's anything comparable, any application comparable in Google Suite of Education to OneNote. So for me, it's my main go-to tool, like I said, and you know, I I can't envision not using it. That's how accustomed I am to utilizing the tool. And you know, I'd like to hear maybe from some of you guys if you guys have any questions for Michelle or myself. I don't know. Is that what you want to do, Michelle?
Yeah, well, I do want to add that I also use OneNote for my whole entire life.
Oh yes, yes. I was gonna say that too, but I was gonna let you say it. Yeah.
I use it for pretty much just about everything, and I'm bringing in here on the
Okay.
screen. What you can see is my entire doctorate in a OneNote. So I am in the last year of my doctoral program, finishing up right now, actually starting to write my dissertation. But ever since fall of 2015, every class that I've taken is in a OneNote, is in this OneNote. Every single class, everything, every single assignment that I've done, every single paper I've written is here in this OneNote. And if I want to search for a topic that I've written about, I can use that search feature right here in the right-hand side and search inside of this notebook for everything on that topic, and it will bring up the sources for that topic. If I have written a paper on that topic, any notes that I've taken on that topic, it will bring that information up for me, and it just makes for a more organized way for me to have this information right at my fingertips. And again, I use it with my entire life. As you can see, I have several notebooks opened up in my bookshelf on the left because I use it so much. I believe in OneNote.
I would concur with that statement. I too used it for when I received my master's. I've even used it for things like planning a vacation. Right. So I've set up with different sections on different days or itineraries, so on and so forth. But I too use it professionally for an array of different methods.
All right. Well, thank you so much, David, for sharing your expertise and your use of OneNote. Um, there's one last thing that I want to talk about where it relates to the classroom implementation. And again, I keep going back to the 21st century skills because with activities like this one, you're going to see how it supports creativity, critical thinking, collaboration, communication, all four of those skills, and it really fosters those skills for students. So I'm not sure if you guys have done a digital breakout. But these digital breakout activities done through OneNote, they are wonderful for students, but even for teachers in like a professional development setting. I have done a digital breakout in a professional development setting, and it was very engaging for the teachers to participate in this activity. So think of a breakout room, think of like those escape rooms that are very popular right now where you have to solve a puzzle to move on to the next step. Well, that's what a digital breakout is. Your students are working together, they're solving problems, and they're moving through the OneNote as the digital breakout platform. So I'm going to show you a couple examples of what the digital breakout looks like in OneNote and offer you a step-by-step guide and a Wakelet collection that was curated by Jenna Lee that has digital breakout resources. And let's take a look at that right now. No, I have 100 tabs open. So we're going to go here. I want to play this quick video for you. Okay, so I'm gonna put this video in the team because I don't think that you all are hearing the audio for some reason. Sorry about that, but I will put it in. In the meantime, I can show you what a digital breakout looks like. So here's an example of a breakout that I actually did with a team at E2 last, well, in April. And so in this breakout, there were 5 sections that the participants had to solve the puzzle for. So when you create the breakout, you create your sections and you create your activities that you want the participants or your students to complete. Once they complete the activity, they have to have a code. That's, cracking the code. And that code, whatever, whatever riddle you give them, you can give them hints. Like in this breakout, for example, we gave them the number of letters that are part of the answer, and we gave them a question that related to the lesson or the activity that they did. And the code is what they'll use to go on to the next step. So when they click on the next section, it'll ask for a password. It's password protected. So the code is what will crack or open the next section. So I'm going to cheat here because I have the passwords for the other sections right at the bottom of this OneNote here. So when I enter the password and I click enter, oopsie. Oh, if I enter the wrong password, guess what? It doesn't let me in. It says for the welcome center. Let's try this. Okay, there we go. I think there was a space there when I copied and pasted. So now it opens up this section. So the students get a nice little congratulations. You can create that page for them. But now they have their learning tasks that they have to complete. And with a OneNote, you know that you can put pretty much anything on a page, whether it's a sway presentation, it could be a video, it could be all kinds of content. And you can have them reflect on questions and complete learning tasks together. And when they complete the learning tasks, then you have a code for them to crack. And then whatever the code is, they come up with that to move on to the next item. And the next item, again, it requires a password. So we are going to try for this one. Hopefully I get that right. And yay, cracked the code. So it's a fun way to get the students excited and get engaged. It takes time to build the content, and you can have as many sections as you want in the content. But if you do notice, some of these pages are copied and pasted, right? Like the congratulations page and the crack the code page. All I did was just change the question and the number of lines here. And then the learning activities are, the tasks that you want them to complete. And then, you can have it as a game where the student that cracks the last code or the group that cracks the last code, they get to win a prize or earn a prize or something like that. But it's a terrific way to truly engage your students in learning. I, as a participant in a breakout, I was challenged. I had to learn to truly collaborate and communicate with my team to really get to the right answer. And I had to definitely use critical thinking and creativity. So it is one of those tools that students do have a shared responsibility. They do have to make decisions together, and it may require them to do interdependent work because it depends on the learning tasks that they have to complete to crack the code. They're communicating, and they're communicating with evidence, and they're designing their communication. They are constructing and applying knowledge, and it's interdisciplinary. In the example you saw, there were topics from different subject areas, from science to literature, I think even to fashion. So it can definitely be interdisciplinary, and it's relevant. They are using real world problem solving skills within the Crack the Code. So that breakout, digital breakout activity that you just saw. So I really love breakouts. They are not difficult to put together, and I will post this resource in the team, but this is a nice wakelet that was put together with examples of digital breakouts and resources that you can pull from, and even templates that you can use as you're developing your breakout so that you can be successful in your implementation. And then there's also this breakout guide that walks you through step by step of how you create the sections, how you password lock the sections, and how you even share this with your students. And if you're using Teams with your class, you can add the digital breakout as a website tab with the view link so that students can't edit it. So you just click the tab option in Teams, add it as a website with the view link, and students are able to participate in the digital breakout. So at this time, if we have anyone else that wants to share with us with ways that you are using OneNote, would love to hear from you. If not, we'll give a minute or so. We will conclude. And we had some great ideas shared today by David, and thank you again, David, for participating in the webinar.
My pleasure.
And last but not least, you can always go to the Microsoft Educator community, and there you can find courses for OneNote as well as any other Microsoft application. If you have any questions at this time, we're happy to answer them. But you can redeem a code here in the Microsoft Educator community to earn points and badges for today's 1-hour session. And we do have our next call coming up in November, on November 20th, which is also a Wednesday at 6 p.m. And our topic is going to be Office Online, Microsoft Office Online and in the desktop, both. And there's so many cool features now that have been added to Office that I'm so excited to share with you guys. Things like Presenter Coach in PowerPoint. And you're going to get to see some awesome additions to Office in that webinar. So with that, if we don't have any questions, I want to thank you for joining us. And we will see you during the next call. Let's see. I think we might have. Oh, okay. Look, Lori, I'm sorry, I wasn't monitoring the chat. Lori said
that's okay.
Oh, go ahead. Speak, Lori.
I was just saying that, Michelle, you just made my day, because I literally was just having this whole conversation with a third grade teacher about kind of like escape room type format utilizing OneNote. And because I had actually come across it, well, we do like a Tech Tuesday, and so the resources that we share with the teachers and things of that nature, we kind of do that in that format anyways. And so I thought, well, she would love that in her classroom, and now you've just provided all these resources that I don't have to reinvent. So thank you so much. I'm really excited to get to share this out with her and have her implement it in her classroom.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
I'm so happy it helped you. And if you want, you could send me her email. She wants to be added to the team, and she can always take a look at the webinar and the resources that I post in the team. You can share that with me if she's willing to, be part of the team.
Sure.
All right.
Michelle, I have a quick question.
Yes.
What is the recording for this and the teams does it appear on this channel?
Yeah, so how the recording works is it automatically uploads to Stream, but you guys are not going to be in the same tenant, so you won't have access to click on the recording. So once it uploads, then I have to download it and then upload it into like a public channel, like a YouTube link, and then I'll share it via YouTube link to the team.
You'll add it to this channel like as a tab on the top, or?
Yeah, I'll add it as a tab, and then I'll also add the PowerPoint as a PDF as a tab as well.
Perfect.
To the channel.
Perfect. Awesome.
All right.
Is the one from I didn't make the first one. Is
Yeah.
is that one up already?
Yeah, that one is there, but I realized that I have to do the downloading of from Stream and uploading into like a YouTube channel because
Okay.
of the organization issue. So it's there, but I have to convert it basically.
Okay.
But the PowerPoint is there though. You could definitely view the PowerPoint.
Yeah, I saw the PowerPoint. I did see the PowerPoint. I just didn't see the vid. Okay, cool.
And that's Lori, just so you know, every channel is going to be available for like if you miss a month for a webinar where you can view the content if you'd like. And the same thing for people who join after.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. So again, thank you guys for joining. I'm happy to share and happy to hear from you and all the wonderful things you're doing. I'll post this information in the team so you have access to it. And I wish you guys a great night.
Awesome.
Thank you.
You too, Michelle. Thank you.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Thank you so much.